Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever holiday you celebrate, everyone in that very cold fridge. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 74 of this freezing cold podcast that's always housed in the very cold fridge with that very cold, yet spicy as hell, lasagna. So welcome to today's show. Welcome to this holiday episode on your Christmas day. And man, we have some things to talk about on this 49ers recap show. Yes, there are some things to talk about with the San Francisco 49ers because they had a game. Yes, they had a game 2 days before Christmas. It was the game. Yes, the Thursday night game before Christmas, as they went up to Nashville, the Music City, to take on the Tennessee Titans on this Thursday night. Sorry, it was not on Fox, and I'm actually glad we didn't get to hear Joe Buck, because he and Troy Aikman would have been like batshit crazy over how the Niners were all over in this game. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in this game. Obviously, before we do, make sure you subscribe, follow, everything in relation to Very Cold Lasagna, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, the social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into this game between the Niners and the Titans. So, both teams were entering this short week, this short Christmas week, heading into opposite directions. The Niners, they were on a red hot roll. Yes, that red hot, that fruitcake roll. It's not burnt to the crisp. It's not like, yeah, gross. Ever since that blowout win against the LA Rams on a Monday night, they've been winning games. They've been making that delusional playoff push that people have been clamoring for whatever reason. And, they've won, I think it's like, how many games is it now? 5 of the last 6 against some teams like the Minnesota Vikings, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Atlanta Falcons, and those teams. Yes, those teams. And of course, the one including the LA Rams that started it all. And then the most recent one being, the Atlanta Falcons in week 15 in a blowout game that, continued to solidify their playoff hopes and got them an important tiebreaker. Meanwhile, you had the Tennessee Titans heading back home after choking away a winnable game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, where Ryan Tannehill pretty much turned over the ball a couple of times, as well as the entire team blowing away the game against the Steelers. And, another loss for the Titans meant another chance for them to clinch the AFC South, continuing to run thin, because each and every loss for them means another chance for their division rival, the Indianapolis Colts, to catch up to them. And this was despite the Colts already being swept by the Titans in their division series. Because, keep in mind, the Colts have been winning a lot lately, and each and every win counts. And heading into this game, the Colts were only one game behind now with the Titans in the division race. And, if the Colts had only lost one more time and the Titans had won just once, the division was already going to be wrapped up. And, heading into this game for the Titans, they got A.J. Brown back there, one of their top wide receivers. They were going to have Julio Jones back, but the important piece was A.J. Brown. He's coming off IR with the chest injury, and that was the good news. The bad news was the offensive line. The offensive line was bad enough for the Titans, but it would get even worse because more of it would go on the COVID list shortly before the game, and yeah, that's bad news. So this was yet another important game for the 49ers. This was an opportunity for them to rip and tear through a very cold and very broken Tennessee team heading into this Thursday night. So, we get into the game. They get the ball first, and Jimmy G actually leads a good opening drive. Yes, he does. He methodically helped the Niners move the ball down to the Titans' red zone. Deebo Samuel almost fumbled the ball away at the goal line, and the Titans actually fell on it, but it was clear that his knee was down at the goal lines. But before Mike Vrabel could challenge it, the Titans head coach Jimmy G smartly got everyone around the goal line. He told everyone to hurry up, get in position, and then he snapped the ball just in time before Vrabel could challenge it, and Jeff Wilson ran it into the end zone for the early 7-0 lead. So, this was one of the better opening drives by San Fran, and Jimmy G took really good control of the offense in this one. Methodically pushing the ball downfield with quick throws to George Kittle and Deebo, and I think Juszczyk was also involved early on. But early in the game, this is what you'd like to see from the 49ers. And then, the San Francisco defense would immediately attack on the beaten up Titans offensive line. When the Titans got to midfield, defensive end Samson and Bucum would sack Ryan Tannehill for a big loss before the Titans would just give up. They would literally give up on third down, and they would just run the ball, and then that would draw a good reaction. Yes, they would literally draw a good reaction from their home crowd. Yes, they loved that run on third and forever. Yes, they did. So, the Niners, they went back to work on offense. They decided to, we're gonna get back to the goal line. They were there. They were gonna go up 14-0. However, they didn't, and that was because the emergence of not Jimmy Garbage Fail. No. We got to go one step above. Jimmy Garbage Fail on this Christmas holiday weekend. Nah, we got to do more than that. On this Christmas season. It's got to be Jimmy Garbage Claus. Ha ha ha. I'm going to give away another chance at winning an important game. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's right. The emergence of Jimmy Garbage Claus. His holiday tale began when he tried to force a throw to George Kittle in the end zone, but instead, the jackrabbit known as Janoris Jenkins was right there to intercept it in the end zone, and the Niners lost away a chance at scoring more points thanks to the tale of Jimmy Garbage Claus. Ha ha ha. That was just an outright terrible decision by Jimmy. Why did he have to force a throw to George Kittle? And even if he wanted to throw to George Kittle, just throw it a little higher to him so he can beat Jenkins, and so George Kittle can just jump for the ball and beat out Janoris Jenkins on that throw. But instead, he decided to no, I'm too impatient for that, and he decided to throw it right then and there to Janoris Jenkins. Terrible, just terrible. Thankfully, the Titans' offense continued to suck by that point. And on third down, they decided to go for a jet sweep with A.J. Brown. And Fred Warner and Arden Key were like, no, we're not going to allow that. We know what's going on here. And they immediately stopped that shit. So heading to the next quarter, the Niners got the ball back after another punt. But the Niners, their latest defensive effort, it continued to get wasted by Jimmy Garbage Claus. Ho ho ho! Because they could have had a touchdown. They literally could have had a touchdown here, but Jimmy Garbage Claus, he was like, I'm gonna try to do my best impression of the Grinch, because he overthrew a wide open Kyle Juszczyk. He was literally right there. The secondary of the Titans was nowhere near Kyle Juszczyk. Had he got Kyle Juszczyk for a wide open touchdown to begin the second quarter, it would have been a touchdown. If not, it would have put the Niners well deep into the Titans red zone much earlier. But instead, they just had to, a couple plays later, successfully convert a fourth down, as Jimmy G got in a decent throw to Deebo Samuel. But still, Like, you could have gotten more points. You could have been up 14-0, but instead, a couple plays later, because of penalties, they just had to settle for a 10-0 lead. And oh dear, this was just bad stuff right here. And the Niners defense did all they could. Their defensive line tried to do as much as they can, but the tale of Jimmy Garbage Claus, it truly began to rear its ugly head. He gave a football. He tried to give a football to the Titans linebacker, Rashaan Evans. Yes, a guy named Rashaan Evans. But Evans, he decided to turn that into the candy known as Butterfingers. So Jimmy Garbage Claus got away with that one. Then he didn't give this one away. He decided to gift the defensive line with a sack, a WWE Suplex City filled sack. They decided to turn it into Brock Lesnar on this WWE filled sack in this one that forced a punt. And it gets better for the 49ers. Mitch Wisnowski, the punter, he badly shakes a punt. And the Titans get great field position. But fortunately for the Niners, they couldn't do anything with it. And rookie Ambry Thomas, he actually had a good game. He actually had a good game, despite some bad coverages in this one. He had some clutch plays. He saved the would-be touchdown from Julio Jones, and he had a couple of pass breakups in critical situations. So he had some he had some improvements in this one. So he saved the would-be touchdown from Julio Jones, and in this drive, a Dontre Hillard touchdown run was negated by holding from the offensive line, and the Titans were forced to punt again. After another third down conversion that failed. So the Niners actually had a chance to go down to the field and back to the Titans red zone and score. But for whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan had no interest in doing so, as they went into the half content with their 10-0 lead. Man. I guess the Niners were really interested in the season of giving, because, they had a good opening drive on offense, and, things were looking promising for them. The defensive line played really well, despite the Titans' offensive line. They were targeting Nick Bosa. They were making sure that, they didn't get to Ryan Tannehill, but that opened the door for the rest of the Niners' defensive line to get at Ryan Tannehill, like Samson Mubukamsak and Arden Key, those guys. And the running game there, the running game by committee didn't work out as well. So, the Titans offense was really struggling by this point in the game. But after the opening drive, by the second quarter, you could tell a momentum shift was slowly going to happen because of one man, and one man alone, the tale of Jimmy Garbage Claus. Yes, because, that interception in the end zone to George Kittle, he tried to force that throw, and, it went to the Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins, and, that cost him an opportunity to go up 14-0 because, maybe he should have found another receiver. Maybe he should have thrown it a little higher to Kittle, or just throw the damn ball away, And, he made some pretty bad throws and nearly had another interception in this quarter. And, Jimmy G's poor play is coming back to bite him. And it was going to eventually turn the tide on this Christmas twilight. So we get to the third quarter, and, the Titans got the ball to start the second half. And, oh boy, the Titans came marching down the field. And they were going over the Niners' defensive candy asses in this one. And the secondary, specifically Josh Norman, Fred Warner, and Jimmy Ward. Yes, Jimmy Ward and Fred Warner. They were letting the Titans convert on 2 third and forevers. Yes, they literally let this Titans offense convert on 2 third and forevers. And there's just no answer for A.J. Brown on this one. He continued to heat up, and he continued to cook the Niners defense in this drive. But fortunately, in this Titans opening drive, the Niners defense just held Tennessee to just 3 points. But then, oh man, Are you ready for this? This marks the true beginning of Christmas. The Christmas return of West Coast Bears football. Yes. On the Niners' first play of the second half, Jimmy Garbage Claus continued his season of giving with a wide open interception to Titans safety Amani Hooker. And yes, because of course, he overthrew Deebo Samuel. West Coast Bears football. Yes, the Niners were back to playing their West Coast brand of Bears football in this one, just like they were playing in the early half of the season. They love to play West Coast Bears football, Maggle. They do. So this interception allows the Titans to march back down to the goal line for their other running back, Deontay Foreman, to punch in the touchdown and make it a 10-10 game. It is a tie game at this point. And then things get better. The Niners are trying to make a push back down to the Titans end zone, and they're at midfield. However, when they need to convert another 4th down and 1 at midfield, Pro Bowl left tackle Trent Williams flinches for a false start. I'm like, dude, oh man, what are you doing? And Trent Williams had he had a bad game. It happens. But these penalties were kind of weird for Trent Williams because he had a face mask penalty too, which wasn't really a face mask if you ask me, but it's just like you can't be doing this in these kind of situations. And now it became a 4th and 6 that they needed to convert. And of course, Jimmy Garbage Claus threw it behind a wide open Brandon Ayuk, and the reaction Kyle Shanahan on the side of it, he was like, "Oh fuck, this dude." Oh, don't worry, Kyle Shanahan. We know how you feel. We know how you feel when your offense plays Bears football on the West Coast. So the defense continued to play Bears football too, as the Niners defense not only allowed another 3rd and forever conversion by the Titans offense, they jumped offsides too, which was obviously negated, but they let Ryan Tannehill rip the defense with a big pass to AJ Brown to go from one end of the field to another. So that ended the 3rd quarter, and things were going very swell for the Niners by this point in the game as we head into the 4th quarter. The Titans, as they opened the 4th, Tannehill connected with AJ Brown to take the lead 17-0 because AJ Brown beat, guess who? Washed ass Josh Norman. Yes. Why do we still have him? At this point in the game? Seriously. So meanwhile, the offense continued to play Bears football, and they gave the ball back to Tennessee. At least on the Niners' next defensive series, linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair got a big sack on Ryan Tannehill, and they got a 3rd down stop finally on the next, and they got a punt. So Jimmy G finally decided to show up. Not Jimmy Garbage Claus, Jimmy G. Yes, he finally decided to run an offense as he got Kyle Juszczyk, Deebo Samuel, Michael Hasty, all those guys. And he found Brandon Ayuk to get it for the game-tying touchdown at 17-all. The problem was for the Niners, though, was they left about over 2 minutes for the Titans to go ahead and kick the game-winning field goal, because that's all the Titans needed at this point. And for a defense that's been playing as poorly as they've had for the second half and for about 3 minutes of the first half, they clearly haven't done a good job. And could they do it here? Clearly, they didn't, because following the 2-minute warning, the Titans began their push to kick the game-winning field goal. And then it seemed as though the Niners would force a 3rd down, and they would then force a 4th down. But then on 2nd down, prior to that, safety Marcel Harris got himself arrested for committing the crime of pass interference, and this is very blatant. He clearly swiped down on, I think it's AJ Brown or Julio Jones. He came in too early when Ryan Tannehill was trying to target one of the receivers, and Marcel Harris was just like, "Oh yeah, swipe too early." Yeah, Bears football. And their defense continued to play West Coast Bears football by allowing Ryan Tannehill to go for a long run that got the Titans kicker Randy Bullock. They got him into his range, and a couple plays later, Randy Bullock kicked the game-winning field goal at 20-17, and the Niners had one more play. They had one more play to get like one big lateral fuckery play in, and they nearly pulled it off. They got to midfield, but they predictably failed, and yeah, the Niners lose this one 20-17. Wow. They got a golden opportunity for all you delusional Niner fans to solidify once more their delusional playoff hopes in a game versus an ice cold, on paper at least, AFC opponent. But, as I said before, this is just a pure reminder. At some point, this is going to be like they're going to have a game where they're going to get reminded that this is not to say that the Titans are a quality team, but in the first round of the playoffs, this is going to be a pure reminder to the Niners, not just to the Niners themselves, but to the fans, that against a real quality team, or when the Niners are having a down day at the office, that this Niners team is going to get smashed in the first round of the playoffs, whether they face the Packers, the Bucks, or even the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, even when Dak Prescott is having his own worst day at the office. So, as for the game itself, they got off to that hot start on offense in the opening drive. But after that, they got a good start. But they faltered again, thanks to Jimmy Garbage Claus. He decided to write his own holiday tale of volunteering in the season of giving with this typical bad throwing and gifting interceptions to the defense. And the defensive line, they did as much as they could, but because Jimmy Garbage Claus decided to do jack shit for the rest of the game after the opening drive, the D-line, they got tired. And as a result, the typical terrible secondary was again exposed as a result. And, they had many chances to run away with this game. And it could have been a 21-0 lead by halftime. It could have been a blowout of sorts by the end of this one. But obviously, they couldn't take advantage of the chances they got. And they let Tennessee hang around for too long. And, I guess they decided to be nice. They decided to give Tennessee a little gift on Christmas Eve. And that was the AFC South, at least part of it. Granted that, well, let's see if I guess the Niners want Arizona to win on Saturday so the Titans can clinch the division. I don't know. So as it stands right now for you delusional Niner fans and the delusional Niners themselves, when it comes to their playoff chances, nothing changes because the Niners are lucky to have wins over the Minnesota Vikings in Week 12 and the Philadelphia Eagles all the way back in Week 2. Because of those head-to-head tiebreakers. I don't know how they're ahead of the Saints, but they're lucky that the Saints are probably going to lose this Monday night matchup to the Miami Dolphins because they're missing a bunch of people due to COVID. So, anyway, had they not won over the Vikings or the Eagles right now, they'd be well out of the playoff picture. And you know what? Had they not won, they'd be well out of the playoff picture. And in my opinion, they actually should be, because I just want to see what they have out of Trey Lance. They should be seeing what they have out of Trey Lance at this point. They shouldn't be nowhere near the playoff picture with the way that Jimmy Garbage Claus is so inconsistent and the way that the secondary is pretty bad. Yes, they are pretty bad. But, I guess they want to try to upsell Jimmy G's trade value for the beginning of the new league year in March. So I guess that's what they want to do here as they try to make their delusional playoff push that leads to a backdoor first round exit and a shellacking in the first round. So let's talk some winners and losers of this game. Oh, wait. There were no winners. Sorry. Everybody gets a lump of coal in this game. Yes, there was not enough justification for a winner because everyone gets a sad sack of coal in this game on Christmas. Sorry, because the biggest loser of this game was Jimmy Garbage Fail. I mean, do I need to say more? This was just about it for Jimmy G. You know, that good opening drive. He had a methodical one, but he decided to turn into the garbage version of Santa Claus. Ho ho ha! He decided to give out low and high throws. He missed a wide open Kyle Juszczyk. He overthrew his receivers. He tried to force their throws into tight windows. And interceptions galore. And there could have been a lot more. Don't worry, Niner fans. This wasn't just a bad day at the office. This was just your typical Jimmy Garbage Fail experience. Just with the ante of the garbage clause. Yes, the garbage clause. And, you know, don't be surprised when it comes playoff time. He costs you a game, the game in the first round, and you'll finally realize that this dude ain't the shit. The entire defense, the entire defense, except for the defensive line. You know, the defensive line did as much as they could. They actually did pretty good for much of the first half. But because Jimmy Garbage Fail began to show its ugly head, so did the bad side of the defense, specifically the secondary, as usual. Because once the Titans offense began to heat up, especially A.J. Brown, the secondary just had no answers for him. As A.J. Brown single-handedly shredded the secondary's asses all game long from there. And this was even against, you know, our top guys like Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward, you know, our two best guys, you know, Fred Warner, all-pro Fred, and Jimmy Ward are our best safety. You know, these are two guys that are supposed to be good, but for much of the year they haven't been good for what success they had in previous years. They're really having they haven't been really good this year. You know, they were getting their asses shredded by one guy, and that was A.J. Brown. And, you know, well, at this point, we all know how washed as hell Josh Norman is, and I don't know why the hell he's still on the team. Why we kept him for this long. And then the defensive line, well, yes, they did all they could to generate pressure up front, and they did for one half. But again, the offense eventually adjusted, and you know the offense for the Niners, they couldn't do anything. So that allowed Ryan Tannehill to pretty much smoke their asses. Yes, this Ryan Tannehill. They got to smoke their ass. So takeaways from the game. Well, this was a friendly reminder that I continue to be right about the Niners' delusional playoff chances. Like I continue to say each and every week since the Niners decided to start winning, starting with the LA Rams. Yeah, they're gonna backdoor into the playoffs. And yes, they kind of like, they're still run first team. They not ball controlling as much, but you know, they're gonna comes a point in time where Jimmy G is gonna have to win the Niners won these games. And to his credit, he did against the Bengals, and to some credit, I think the Vikings too. I believe so, but that was like 2 sample games, I guess. And how many games have the Niners won that did involve Jimmy G? And the problem is, if Jimmy G can't get the job done in an actual playoff game, yeah, they're gonna get bounced by a better team like the Packers, the Bucks, the Cowboys. They're gonna get smashed. So with the way they played on Thursday, if they have a bad day at the office, those serious issues at quarterback and the serious issues at secondary are really gonna be enough to assure my claims of this delusional playoff push as such delusional. And people are gonna be like, oh, why did we lose? Why? Oh, like we got into the playoffs, but we're really gonna accept this mediocrity. Like we got into the playoffs. Like why are you being so down? Because the ultimate goal is a Super Bowl, and we really are willing to accept a backdoor appearance into the playoffs, and we're just gonna get smashed. So what's there to be excited about, really? So this game is also a friendly reminder that Jimmy Garbage Fail needs to go after the season. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that, I mean, yeah, he's had his nice moments, but yep, we all have to remember that this dude still continues to limit the potential of this offense with his knee busting and overall questionable throws. You know, he tries to force it way too much into tight coverage, and he throws it way too high, and he also underthrows the deep ball too often. And no, I'm not just saying this because of the Titans game. He does this most of the time, and you know, he can't move. The dude can't move for whatever reason. And the only time this dude decides to move when it's in the play action. But other than that, when it's just a regular passing call, the dude decides to stay in the pocket like a damn statue, stuck to the ground like as if it was super glued and quicksanded all into the ground. Like, get out of the pocket. Try to find your guy. Like, run around. Like, run to the left, run to the right. Come on, man. Tom Brady does, like, you were the Tom Brady disciple, man. Like, Tom Brady, like, moves to, like, of course, Tom Brady doesn't, like, scramble like Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson, but at least he moves to the left, to the right. You know, dude, you got to do the nag, man. But he never wants to do it, and instead is willing to continue to be the gift that keeps on giving to the defense with drive-killing sacks. So we get it. We have 2 more games with Jimmy G, and possibly even 1 more when Niners continue to backdoor into the playoffs. But after this season, like, I'm pretty sure I'm not willing to go another year with Jimmy Garbage Fail's super inconsistent ass. And you know, when the time comes for the Niners to sadly get into the playoffs, and the garbage fail side of Jimmy G will be on full display for the world to see. And hopefully by then, and when the Niners get trounced because of Jimmy G, hopefully all you delusional fans will finally get it into your heads that he ain't the shit in San Francisco. But then, for whatever reason, you'll find some other excuse to backpedal on. So, and I also understand, you know, Trey Lance, we don't know what we'll get out of Trey Lance, but still, better find out next year. I mean, come on. And then lastly, the secondary. They need a major overhaul in the offseason as well. Because this game was more of an indication that it needs serious changes. Because, I mean, come on, Emmanuel Mosley, he can't stay healthy. And his replacement, Josh Norman, is a washed as fuck. Like, I don't know why we decided to bring on Josh Norman in the first place. Because as you could tell by his time, like, after Carolina, he hasn't been the shit. He has clearly not been the shit. He even, remember, in last year in Tennessee, he got his ass trucked by Derrick Henry. I mean, that's a bigger indication that, yeah, this dude can't play anymore. This dude can't cover for shit. But then you have guys like Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tart, that just haven't shown that they deserve a long-term. I think they're on 1-year deals or 2-year deals. They just haven't shown they deserve a long-term contract, because this entire secondary, aside from a couple guys, they just continually let the opposition stretch the field. And, you know, I don't know if it's like the players or D'Amico Ryans not having enough time to have chemistry with the current secondary, but something ain't working. The whole year with the secondary is not working because they can't cover shit. They're literally giving up big play after big play, and they're even giving up the small chunk plays that turn into big chunk plays. So something clearly ain't working with the secondary, and it needs a major overhaul in the offseason. But that is my recap of this Niners Christmas Twilight loss to the Tennessee Titans. What are you guys' thoughts on this Thursday night loss to the Tennessee Titans? Probably it wasn't the worst loss by say, because obviously there are worse losses than this from earlier in the season, because obviously earlier then the Niners were clearly playing a West Coast Bears football by then, and obviously it reared its ugly head again here, but clearly not as bad as earlier in the season. But let me know how you felt about it any way you can, whether it's on social media, YouTube, however you can. Okay, and then obviously they play the Houston Texans next week, next Sunday in the new year. So when it's time to preview that game, I'll be talking about it next week on this show. But that is it for this 49ers recap show of Very Cold Lasagna. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate on this fine holiday day. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for tuning into this fine episode. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you listen to the show on all audio platforms that are available. Make sure you follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports very cold in the fridge with those takes on all those things spicy and very cold like Garfield the cat and not like the tale of Jimmy Garbage Claus. Ha ha ha. Anyway, everyone, don't be like Jimmy Garbage Claus. Be like... Who should you be like on Christmas Day? Be like... I guess you could be like Joe Montana. You can be like Joe Montana. Be the true gift giver on Christmas Day. Yeah, be like that guy. Be like that guy. But anyway, everyone, happy holidays. I'll see you all next week. Until next time, peace out.